Hi, everyone. I am excited to be back for another episode. I hope that you have been vibing with the episodes in September and the theme, which has been all about growth, my journey for growth. And I've been more intentional about making themes for each month. I'm on my journey for growth, but I also want to help inspire you to grow if that is something that you are looking to do or open to doing. So, September has been all about growth, really just breaking down growth. I feel like it can be a scary word, it can feel really big, but when you break it down and really focus it on your life and how you're looking to grow, it can feel easier to tackle. So, that is really the purpose of September, talking about mindset versus fixed mindset at the beginning of the month. And then also talking about slow growth, which is something I'm still practicing and putting into practice every day. Culture and growing, for me personally, trying to embrace my culture more, practicing gratitude. And now that we're wrapping up September, I wanted to talk about maintaining momentum for growth. And as we go into fall, happy fall. By the time this comes out, we'll be a few days into fall, but the day that I'm recording is fall equinox. So I am very excited to tie that into today's episode. Also, break down what the fall equinox is if you're not familiar. I wasn't super familiar until I was just Googling things. And I am a big fan of Refinery 29. So I was reading some articles and came across an article that broke down the fall equinox, like what it actually is, and read this really interesting article just about how, it essentially we're ending one season and starting another season, and equinoxes only happen twice a year. So earlier this year, I actually talked about the spring equinox. Feel free to go back to that episode because it is interesting. And now we're entering fall equinox. So we are growing, we're embracing life, obviously doing that throughout the year as well, but especially summer. I feel like that we see that people, traveling the world, going on adventures, taking vacation, enjoying life, and fall, as we go into fall, just slowing down, getting ready for the holidays and for the new year. So we're going through change, and I feel like fall gives me like cozy vibes because I just want to be like wrapped in a blanket and chilling, watching something on Netflix or Amazon Prime. It is a different mindset. And as we are in this mindset, there's time for reflection, there's time for us to put to practice what we've been working on earlier in the year and starting to look at the new year and what our goals might be for next year. So, with the fall equinox here and us officially in fall now, I wanted to use this as a perfect opportunity to wrap up September and encourage everyone to take some time to slow down and think about ways that you've grown this year and celebrate the growth because we are always so on the go. I feel like that it can be easy to not take the time to really look at how much you've grown in the 9 months that has just passed. And for those of you who are New Year's resolutions people, check in with yourself on whether or not you've actually put to practice and are taking intentional steps to accomplishing your goals. I know New Year's resolutions are a hot topic thing. I feel like people either hate them or they love them, and lots of people love to be skeptical about them. That's fine. Everyone has the right to their own opinion. For me, I look at New Year's resolution goals instead of the word resolutions. I have goals. They're wishes of things that I want to accomplish in the year coming. And honestly, it's a very top level list for me that keeps me focused and centered. The list grows as the year goes on, but I start at the beginning of the year, like, what are my aspirations going into the next year? So for last year, some of my New Year's goals were to move to California. At that point, Marco and I had been in a relationship, but to continue growing our relationship and for me to tap into my creativity more. I had this goal on my New Year's resolution goals list for the past couple years, and each year I had tried something different, but it never really stuck. Um, for those of you who are close to me, some of you know that it is my goal one day to write a children's book. I have tried to dabble in that year to year, but the inspiration hasn't always been there. So instead of forcing it, I've looked to other ways that I can tap into my creativity. And the end of last year and going into this year, the podcast was that. And it's been a beautiful thing that I have kept going. And I'm so proud of myself because I've put so much work into it, but it's honestly been for me. I've seen my mind and myself transform, and it sounds woo woo, but I don't really care because it's brought me closer to my family. It's brought me closer to myself. It's brought me closer to what I want in life. And as I go into the next year, it's going to bring me closer to other creators that are going through similar things that I'm going through. And I can't wait to use my platform to help other people. I am really focused on honestly bringing communities together and sharing my voice and empowering other people to share their voice. So I'm just excited for the rest of the year. It's been a very chaotic month, but it's been a great one. And I'm very grateful for my life and the mentors that I have around me, and also the other people that I get inspiration from. I know that I mentioned I would talk about my course that I took this month. It's wrapping up soon, so I plan to share learnings from it in the first episode of October. So stay tuned. October is going to be more about like learnings and education in a way, like how I'm finding ways to continue learning and just the importance, I think, of continuing to learn as an adult. And that doesn't always have to be academic, but just learning in ways that are helping you grow. So, sharing tips and inspiration for that and staying inspired. But back to this episode, as we wrap up September and begin the fall season, I wanted to share a quote that I read from a Refinery 29 article. I will include the title of the article in the podcast show notes, and I will post it on social so that you can easily read the whole thing yourself if you're interested. But I vibed with it and read it to Marco because I wanted him. I thought he would enjoy it as well. So I am going to butcher this person's last name because it is hard to pronounce, but Marshall Wussel, it's spelled WSL. So try pronouncing it yourself. It's a bit tricky. But he's the author of Cunning Words, A Grimoire of Tales and Magic, says the summer months are all about growth and bringing our endeavors to their fullest potential, and the autumnal equinox, aka fall equinox, is all about taking stock of what you've grown, harvesting it, and choosing how to best utilize it, magically and physically. The apples, pumpkins, and leaves decaying are abundant, showing us how delicate and beautiful the cycle of life truly is. That last sentence was included in the article, but the first part was a quote from this author. And I found that it perfectly summarized this like fall equinox and the end of one season and the beginning of a whole new season. Honestly, it definitely spoke to me because I feel like summer months are a lot about bringing our endeavors to like their fullest potential. A lot of people are, and that can be from traveling, as a lot of people do during the summer, traveling, honestly, getting outside, going to the beach, or just working on ourselves as we prepare for the rest of the year. Because right after summer, we go into holiday season and then it's the new year. And I think because we can be so busy during the summer, it can be easy to not even acknowledge the growth that you've had. And for those of us that continue this grind and then, feel this burnout at the end of the year, I've been there many years. It's something I'm trying to work on now so that I can not burn myself out. The summer months are all about growth and bringing our endeavors to their fullest potential. And the autumnal equinox is all about taking stock of what you've grown, harvesting it, and choosing how to best utilize it magically and physically. How to best utilize it magically and physically, and really taking stock of what you've grown, is that reflection and putting it to practice. So that is something that I am trying to challenge myself with as I go into a new month. I am working on setting goals for October. I did this exercise at the end of August and I learned it from one of the courses. Feel free to listen to that episode for like more details, but I am doing this exercise of planning my high level goals for the month and then actually like breaking down week by week when I'm going to do them. It can sound daunting, but honestly, takes 30 minutes, maybe an hour at most, depending on how many goals and how detailed you want to be. But usually I just go, week of this, whatever the week is, and then what the high level goal is. And then it's a bulleted list in different sections. So, and, some days I find myself maybe focusing on or working late. So then I haven't checked something off and I just move it to the next day or move it to a couple days later. I think the most important thing is that I'm trying to hold myself accountable, and the goal is to accomplish all of these goals in the month. I'm trying to not move that many things over into the next month. And if I do need to, checking in with myself on, why am I having to push this thing off? Is it because something else has come up? Or is it because I am not being intentional with how I'm spending my time? In full transparency, this past month, a little bit of that, but I was trying to enjoy the end of summer because for the first part of summer, I spent it moving cross country, which was amazing and a fun experience in itself, but not as relaxing. And so once I got settled in California, I tried to really make the most of the last summer months, and I definitely did that. I am feeling it now, but it was worth it. So as I go into October, super excited to be putting to practice some of the things that I have learned over the past couple months from my courses, continuing to learn and tap into my creativity. So that is my challenge. Anyone who's listening, maybe take this week and plan out goals. You can start with just for the next week or for the month and try to have at least just one goal a week and then actually break out when you're going to focus on it and work on it. It can be a total game changer for actually accomplishing the things you say you want to do, especially if you're someone who is like me and they are, working full time and also juggling a passion and a side hustle and balancing, being in a relationship, trying to treat yourself and do things by yourself, just trying to feel like a well-rounded, healthy person mentally. So I just want to encourage everyone to and help everyone to go after what they want because it is totally doable. And there's lots of people out there that, are pessimists, but in this community, we are dreamers and we are manifestors. It's okay if you don't know how to manifest. That is something we will be covering off in this next couple months. I'm going to be talking about breaking down like how to manifest and maintaining momentum with accomplishing your dreams and honestly staying positive. I feel like that is a big part of it. Your perspective is huge into how you just experience life and carry on day to day. Personally speaking, I have been a pessimist and I will own to that. And I have weak moments. But overall, having a positive outlook on life and believing things are possible and just taking steps to do them has transformed me as a person. And I have accomplished so many things. It's amazing to think about. So, that is a big reason why I have focused on growth of September and am sharing ways to that I'm growing, because there are so many ways that we can grow as people and we don't have to grow in multiple ways at the same time. We can focus on one way to grow, but know that maybe down the line we want to grow also in other ways. So, just sharing different ways that we can grow and staying positive. I love having a positive outlook. I have less anxiety with my positive mindset. I remember days when I was, and sometimes this has to also do with, maybe you're a player, just like your work environment. But I do remember days when I would end my day at work and still feel this like heavy weight on my chest and anxiety or stress because I, was so focused on things that maybe I haven't done. And there was so much on my plate that I needed to do. I wasn't just taking a moment to have some perspective and try to approach things from a positive perspective, like what is in my control. I can only control me. So if I'm dealing with someone that's like someone at work that's being difficult or rude, or even just someone that I run into on the street, trying to remember that you don't know what that person's going through. You can't control them. All you can control is how you react to a situation, how you handle a situation, and how you move on from it. And I'm not saying to disregard what happens and not speak up, but I have really been practicing the past couple years how to have a positive outlook and how to have a problem solving approach to things. It's something that I have learned in my job, and it's something I have to practice every day in my job. And I have started to apply it to my personal life because I feel like there are so many things that we encounter, or at least I encounter in my day to day. Putting my problem solving hat sometimes on with the positive outlook really impacts how I handle situations and how I communicate with others. So I'm trying to lead by example, and I love that I can share that with this community and hopefully inspire you to do the same. I feel like if every single person treated people with a little bit more kindness, and there are lots of people out there that are, already practicing this positive attitude and being kind, but I just want to encourage everyone, take a moment to give someone grace or treat them with kindness because you don't know what they're going through. You can only control you. So just keep that in mind when you encounter someone at Starbucks that's cranky. Is it going to ruin the rest of your day, or are you going to move on and be grateful for the life that you have? And, maybe by approaching the situation with a little bit of positivity, that can, who knows the impact that can make. So just being open to that. That is a challenge to you. And I hope that this resonates with you. I feel like from talking to some of my listeners, it would. It's all about taking baby steps to, getting the results that you want. Things don't always happen overnight, but all we can do is take it day by day and take steps towards accomplishing our dreams and making sure that we're prioritizing our dreams. This is something that I have been trying to focus on more of late, because if we don't prioritize our own dreams, who is going to prioritize them is the real conundrum and reality. This is something that I have definitely taken away from the courses that I have taken this month. Just that if I want to accomplish my goals, it starts with me, and I need to hold myself accountable. And that can be really hard sometimes when I just want to watch TV and veg out after a long day of working. And I totally acknowledge that we all have different lives and responsibilities, but I just want to encourage you if you have a dream, and that can be even a small dream. Like my dream is to start swimming more, which is one of my dreams. Make sure that you try to make a plan for when you're going to do that. Something I've learned with living with my boyfriend for the past, let's just say 5 months, 6 months, 5 months, um, is also really communicating. And just for a little bit of background, my boyfriend also has a side hustle and a passion, and he's been doing it a lot longer than I have. He's, been DJing since he was 13. It's something his family is very musical, and he plays the piano. He went to school for music. He loves all things sound and sound mixing and creating his own mixes. He's DJ'd when he was in Chicago. He used to DJ a lot of like weddings, corporate events. So that is his passion. Seeing him balance that with a full time job as well has helped me learn how to do it. And when I have days where I just am maybe like feeling so torn and thinking to myself, why can't I just do my passion for a living? It's so great to have him there in my corner. Also, with us both having things that we juggle, communicating our, at least for me, communicating my dreams and my goals is so important because I want to be the best partner, but I also want to have my own dreams and accomplish them. So typically, what I will do is we use Google Calendar. We don't have a shared Google Calendar, but we will create invites for things. If there's certain times that we're going to be like in a work mode, also just letting him know, like at the beginning of the day, like, hey, I'm going to record tonight. I have a few things I need to do tonight after work. So he just has a heads up and vice versa, but it's been really great to communicate my goals to him and when I'm going to be spending time on my goals, or if I need help to also stay like on task or accountable, like I want to go swimming twice a week, letting him know I might need your help in accomplishing this goal because he is someone who works out every day, and I know that that's something that comes naturally to him. So when you're finding an accountability partner, whether that's your actual like life partner or a friend, I think it doesn't matter. It's just someone that will help encourage you and support you in what you're trying to accomplish and do. So I'm here for accountability partners. I mean, when I did this podcast and had a co host, shout out to Rose, she was my accountability partner for a lot of things, especially for things that fell into the creative world because we were doing this podcast together, but also working out. And I loved that because, that helped our friendship grow as well. So I think part of growing isn't just doing it individually, but encouraging people around us to grow in ways that are going to help them be, you know, accomplish their goals. And just being supportive sometimes is all you need to do. So it may not be a goal that you have for yourself, but if this person has a goal, try to support them because they may not have a lot of people in their life that are supporting them. So as we go into the end of the year, just something to think about. And if you don't have any goals currently on your mind, maybe take this week to jot a couple down, even if whether they're for October or you're starting to think about the new year. It's never too late to start working on your goals. And if anyone tells you, or you even feel like, oh, I should have started that sooner, or I'm so behind already, maybe I'll just start in the new year. Just start now. Then by the new year, you're already going to be working on this goal, and it's probably going to be a habit because it does take practice and time and repetition to make things habits, and then they become natural and feel like less of a chore if it's something that doesn't come naturally to you. So you are going to do you, but I just want to see my community and listeners live their best lives. And I feel like I'm living my best life right now, to be honest, which sounds very surreal because a year ago I was in New York and Marco and I were together doing long distance. I hadn't even started planning my move to California yet. I had started to think about doing a podcast, but it felt very far off. It just felt like a pipe dream. I think that's the saying. And now I am 7 months in. So you never know how quickly your goals might come to life. All you have to do is start taking baby steps to accomplishing them. Start visualizing the life that is your ideal life. Because I know that there might be times where we feel stuck in situations and maybe have found ourselves complacent or so busy that you feel like you don't have time to clear your mind and think about goals and then actually take actionable steps to accomplishing your goals. That just sounds so daunting. I feel you. I've been there and I empathize with that. But if you do want to bring your ideal life to reality, it starts with you. So take the time, communicate to whoever you need to communicate to, whether it's yourself or your partner or your kids or your, employer, the time that you need to focus on you. I am so grateful that I get to do this podcast every week, share my thoughts, share my growth journey, and manifesting tips with you. I call myself a manifesting guru to my family and friends because manifesting has been something that I've been working on for a few years now, and I've manifested so many things for myself, and I'm helping other people learn how to manifest as well because it is something that takes practice and takes a lot of mental work, not in an impossible way, but just it requires you to have this mindset of really visualizing the life that you want, having your thoughts align with that reality, aligning your actions with your thoughts and with your goals so that you can bring them to life and staying focused, honestly, and being intentional. There's obviously more to it, but those are just high level traits. But this positivity mindset, it's something that I am very grateful for. And I have an aunt that passed away almost 3 years ago in, I guess, a little less than a week by the time this episode comes out. She was such a light and touched so many people. She unfortunately passed away from breast cancer. And that was the first family member that I had been close to that I had experienced losing. I had such a great bond with her. She was married to my dad's brother, so she wasn't blood, but she basically was blood. She just, from a young age, always had so much grace and had been through so much in her life, but still was so kind and just this breath of fresh air and honestly light in like a dark room or even just at all times. And I mean, she was human, so she had moments, where she struggled or maybe was negative or felt down. But through it all, she just was such a beautiful person inside and out. And it wasn't until losing her that I think I had this really awakening of life is so short and life is so long. She had recently retired and she had wanted to retire for a while, but corporate America and just life was waiting to retire so she could get a really good like pension, and she finally retired. And then shortly after, her breast cancer had come back. She had done chemo, and not going to go through all of the nitty gritty, but she, got sick and passed away. This was during COVID, and I had actually been home for like 5 months I had left New York and I came home to, be near family and enjoy the California summer. At least I could be outdoors and not stuck in my New York apartment. And I got to spend a lot of time with her before she passed away. It was really eye-opening to see someone as being this regular person to, getting sick, but through it all, just staying so positive despite the fact that she was in pain. I'm just really grateful for her. I feel like sometimes it takes a tragic incident in our lives for us to have this perspective. That's kind of sad, but that's also life. I am getting a little emotional and vulnerable because I just want you to know where my background and where I'm coming from and why I'm so focused on growing, because I feel like she wanted so much out of life, was still so young, and sometimes there are things that are out of our control. So I am determined to embrace life and live the life that I want, because you only have one of them. Life is a blessing. So I know that this took a turn of maybe being intense, but I just want everyone to also really get to know me outside of the goals and manifesting. That is a big part of my journey right now, but a bigger part is just me living my life, trying to be my best self and trying to make my aunt proud, because she was someone that could always help, like, keep me positive and brought this light to my life. That is something that I also have to practice for myself. So I can't just rely, on other people to maybe help me feel better or have this positive outlook on life. It starts with me. I am so blessed that I have this outlook and that I'm sharing it. And I know she would be so proud and she would be a listener. I can only imagine the conversations I would have had with her if she was around to listen to the podcast. I'm so grateful for those of you who are listening, for sharing your feedback and thoughts and supporting my journey. So thank you to my community. Hopefully you cannot hear my phone vibrating. Marco is currently at the gym and knows that I'm recording in the living room. So I think he's texting me to see if I am done recording yet. I'm not. So I'm ignoring his text messages. But I would love if you could take the time to leave some feedback or like and subscribe. You can do that on Apple Music, Spotify, Google Play, or Amazon. Precisely Nowhere is available on all of those platforms. Also, iHeartRadio, it's also available there. So, would love the support, would love your thoughts and feedback. I want to make sure that these episodes are resonating with everyone that's listening. And if you have any things that you would like me to talk about, I would love for you to DM me, whether that's on my social or Precisely Nowhere. Either works, and both of those handles are in the show notes. I love you all. Until next week, talk soon.
Music and editing done by Marco. You can find him at midnight, MIDNITE_mind80 on Instagram for more of his work.